right, as we carry on going over the July 2024 version of the California Residential Listing Agreement, we are now looking at paragraph C2, which correlates with paragraph C or 4C in the body of the listing agreement. This is going to refer to the optional choice of having additional compensation for unrepresented buyers. If you're wondering what an unrepresented buyer is, it's simply a buyer who is submitting an offer that does not have an agent working with them. They may have an attorney that's helping them. They may be completely unrepresented. There's nobody assisting them with it whatsoever. But there is no broker, no agent behind them. So why would there be an additional compensation to the seller's broker, the listing agent, for an unrepresented buyer is because there's going to be more work involved. The listing agent may need to send additional documentation out to the unrepresented buyer. It is definitely recommended to have that buyer sign a non-agency form. The disclosures, if they need to go there and open doors for inspections, if they need to go there and open doors because the buyer's family or friends want to come through, or just because the buyer wants to go look at the property again. There's just going to be more work involved with an unrepresented buyer. So that is why there is an optional additional compensation for it. Just like the lines above, you would check the box that you guys are agreeing to include this additional compensation in the event that the buyer is unrepresented. And then you would fill in the terms just as you did above, whether it's you're going to do a percentage and something, if you're only going to do a flat rate fee, or if you're going to have a compensation schedule. Again, keep in mind that if a buyer comes in unrepresented, the listing agent should have them sign a buyer non-agency form. The listing agent can also provide a blank purchase agreement at the buyer's request, and make sure you get those requests from the buyer in writing and keep on record for your file. The listing agent does not want to fill out any terms on behalf of the buyer. And it is under the terms of use for the forms. It can be provided to the buyer as blank. Again, you just really want to make sure that it's in writing and that you do not fill it out for them. If the offer that the unrepresented buyer submits is really poorly written, the listing agent obviously is going to connect with the seller, and together you guys are going to decide what the seller wants the listing agent to do. Right now we foresee about 3 options, and that is, does the seller even want to respond? They don't have to respond to an offer that they receive. Next option would be, does the seller want to counter? If there are a lot of errors made, the third option, if they don't want to go through and counter each and every error that was made, does the seller want the listing agent to draft up an offer with the terms the seller wants to see to give to the buyer? If this is the option that's chosen, the seller and the listing agent do not sign that copy first. It should still go to the buyer to review, sign, and submit to the seller if that's their choice. All correspondence with an unrepresented buyer should include something along the lines of, I am not representing you. This is as a courtesy for the seller. Every time you go to send a document over, Every time you're reaching out to that unrepresented buyer, the listing agent wants to make sure that they are very clearly defining that they are not representing that buyer.